Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Big breaking news Friday, March 21st, 2025. Two-time heavyweight champion George Foreman, a lot of people's favorite boxer, the man known for the lean, mean grilling machine that cuts away 42% of the fat, as it was often advertised. The same man who lost his daughter 5 years ago at age 42, as we covered it then, by a very similar ritual in the month of March. Yeah, again, George Foreman, dead at 76 in Houston, one night after Houston blows out their opponent in March Madness on the eve of their game on March 22nd with Gonzaga. And again, you guys, 76. How many black celebrities have died at 76? It's ridiculous. And the most ridiculous ritual of all was last spring, what they did to O.J. Simpson. O.J. dead at 76, announced dead as the Masters were teeing off, and they showed him in a golf cart with a Titleist hat on. All the media did. They showed the same thing all day, the little clip of him the last time anybody saw him on the 42nd day of the year, the day of the Super Bowl, out on the links. Again, OJ announced dead at 76, the day of the Masters. And again, Ephesians 6 verses 5 through 9 are slaves, obey your masters. If you're new here, gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. When you run the alphabetic order forwards, the word slave equates to 59. When you run it in reverse, it's 76. OJ was announced dead 59 days after the Super Bowl. When George Foreman lost his daughter, it was 59 days after his birthday. But now he's dead himself at 76, 5 years later. Or, God, actually, you know what? It's 6 years later because she died in 2019. Time flies. Yeah, it was 6 years ago that George Foreman lost his daughter. Apollo Creed died at 76 last year. There's been a lot of black celebrity deaths at 76. If you guys are new here, the feds recognized Black History Month in 76. The only black president, Barack Obama, his name equals 76. The 44th book of the Bible is Acts. Acts 7:6 is about 400 years of slavery. Obama's movie Leave the World Behind has 1,076,000 encoded in it. And don't forget when people's cell phones went out last year and they compared it to Leave the World Behind. The news media literally compared it to Leave the World Behind, and it was 76 days after it premiered on Netflix, Leave the World Behind. But anyway, it's now George Foreman who's dead at 76. And if you're new here, who is doing this? Again, who's responsible for the Bibles as we know them? Is it the Catholic Church? Whose calendar says today is March 21st, 2025? Is it the Catholic Church's calendar? Was it instituted by the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius? The answers to all these questions are yes. And the leader of the Jesuits is Arturo Sosa, and George Foreman's dead 129 days after his birthday. George Foreman, 129. And you think about things like boxing, you know, where have all the best boxing matches been on TV over the years? Maybe things are starting to change with streaming and some of these other services getting into it. But historically, the top boxing matches were always on HBO. And who runs HBO? The Jesuits. The Jesuits. All roads lead to Rome. But we're going to go through this and talk about how connected this is to March Madness. And when you think of March Madness, do you remember the first ever March Madness in 85? Remember basketball equals 85, like the Jesuit motto, "We Sus Hominum Salvator" equals 85. Who won the first March Madness? Was it the Catholic school Villanova over the Jesuit school Georgetown? After John Thompson had become the first black coach to win the championship. And remember how they did John Thompson real dirty in a Jesuit ritual just a few years back? Then they renamed the court after him at Georgetown 66 weeks and 6 days later. But who's counting? Anyway, George Foreman's dead 129 days after the Superior General's birthday. Again, they're the ones that gave us this calendar, this language system, and synced it up with these biblical verses and keep killing these men in these Jesuit rituals over and over. And when did George Foreman first become champion? In 73 on January 22nd over Joe Frazier. That was 52 years ago. We're on a 52-week calendar named after the Pope, right? Pope 52 to go with the 52-week calendar named after the Pope. And again, he did on January 22nd, 122. Pope Francis, 122. George Foreman became the oldest heavyweight champion in 94, and he held that title until 95. Notice, today's the 95th day of the Pope's age, or 94 days after his birthday, right? George Foreman was the heavyweight champion, the oldest one ever, from 94 until 95. Okay, so we're talking about how this is synced again with the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, and the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. And again, Roman Catholic Church 94. Yesterday was the 94th day of his age. Department of Education 94. Jesuit puppet Donald Trump doing his little ritual with the Department of Education. Covered that yesterday. George Foreman's Lean Mean grilling machine came out in 94. If you came up in the 90s, you couldn't go in a house that didn't have a Lean Mean grilling machine. We used to make half of our meals on the George Foreman grill. But just add an insult to injury. George Foreman, age 45, right? Here, Jesuit Order logo. IHS, right? Right now we're in the time of Jesuit puppet Donald Trump. Remember, he became number 45. IHS has that gematria of 45, right? And remember when they called it for Trump, it was on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Little jokes. It was the 27th anniversary of the fall of the wall. Rituals 27 and 45. Again, if you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. Alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order, alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. But George Foreman at 45, again, the oldest heavyweight champion, IHS 45. And what's interesting about that is, again, he died in Houston. Houston's one of the favorites to be in the Final Four this year. They're a 1 seed. They have a big game with Jesuit Gonzaga tomorrow. Play Jesuit Gonzaga tomorrow. Go figure. There's only 3, or actually, if Xavier's about to get bounced, there's about to be 2 remaining Jesuit schools, Creighton and Gonzaga. There were 4 to start. But the thing about this 45-95, the Final Four begins on April 5th, 4-5, the 95th day of the year. And look at this. Look at this, look at this, look at this. You know how many fights George Foreman won in his career? Let me zoom in so it's extra clear. George Foreman, did I scroll down too far? George Foreman won 76 fights. 76. He had 68 knockouts. He was the gold medal boxing champion in 68. And about 68, and this being synced up with March Madness, again, basketball has that gematria 68. You see how it's also 85, like how the first March Madness was an 85. Just for the record, Boston equals 85 and 22. You know, they're the kings of basketball in the NBA. Did you know basketball is 185 in reverse? Like the SEC set a record this year, 185 wins as a conference versus non-conference opponents. That's never been done before. Last year, the Celtics became 18-5 in the finals. Basketball is also 68. George Foreman was 68 knockouts, the knockout king, who went on the boxing map again when he won the Olympics in 68, is now dead in the time of this major basketball tournament. Basketball, notice in that same cipher, Catholicism is 68. Catholicism is also 185. Again, the Catholic school beat the Jesuit school in the first March Madness. Mathematics is 68 and 185. Solar system is 68. Again, they set up this calendar in the 16th century with the language in the year that the heliocentric model was agreed to that says the sun's at the center of it all when the Catholic Church began as a sun worshiping thing. And what's the old name for the sun? Helios, right? So not arbitrary. And he won the gold medal in 68. In alchemy, the sun is gold. And there's a clear correlation in the English language between the sun and the sky, where the Catholic Church celebrates its birthday as Sol Invictus on December 25th. And you know, that's another thing, too, because he's dead 86 days after Sol Invictus in the time of the 86 tournament. And Jenshewitz is 86th, and George Foreman just got 86th. Again, all the media knows he's dead, but they don't know how he died. It's sad how this stuff just goes on day after day and people aren't learning, but yeah, R.I.P. George Foreman. And again, this man had to watch his children die before he passed. We'll go back and look at his daughter's death in 2019, and I feel like there were some other children of his that passed away as well. I need to double check that. Also, just adding insult to injury, his birthday's January 10th. He's dead. He's dead March 21st. So he's dead on the 71st day of his age. Okay. March Madness, 71. The Society of Jesus, that's the Jesuits, 71. Catholic, 71. For the record, Sol Invictus, because he's dead 86 days after in the time of the 86 tournament. Sol Invictus, 71. Boxer, 71. Boxing, 71. Okay. And in light of him being dead at 76, right now, Houston has 41 wins in the tournament. Remember, last year on March 22nd, we had Yale to upset Auburn because Yale was 322 years old and Skull and Bones order 3-2-2s at Yale. Go back and look at the box score for Auburn-Yale last year. Here, I'll just show you right now. Auburn beat Yale in the first half, having 41 points, and then they could not score once they got to 76 in the second half. They finished the game on 76 points. They got stuck there, and Yale passed them. Notice that means they scored 35 in the second half, and Skull and Bones is also 149, which is the 35th prime. And again, you think of like Papa Bush, the 41st president, Skull and Bones member, his birthday, June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. His son's birthday, also president, born July 6th. March 22nd is when the Georgia Guidestones were put up in 1980. They came down on July 6th on George W. Bush's 76th birthday. But again, Auburn, Yale, box score, March 22nd, 2024. Again, this game's still paying the bills for some people almost a year later. Huge payout. Yale was a mega dog. But there it is. 41 in the first half and a 76 total points. So I'm just making the point that Houston's on 41 tournament wins all time, the college basketball team. They're going to play tomorrow on 3-2-2, and George Foreman's dead at 76 on the eve of the game, okay? Now notice, Houston just blew out SIU Edwardsville 78-40. And notice how they had 52 in the first half, like George Foreman became the boxing champion for the first time 52 years ago. And then they scored 20. They only scored 26 in the second half. They were resting in the second half. They're saving it for March 22nd. But again, notice how boxers 26. What is it? Knockout? I'm trying to think. Maybe it's just KO. It's KO and punch. That's what it is. Punch is 26. KO is 26. That's a knockout in boxing. And boxer. And you see how boxer is also 28, and so is boxing. Calvin Sampson, the coach of Houston, if he wins tomorrow, he's going to get his 28th win in the tournament. And they do play the Jesuit school Gonzaga, who has the 28 connection. But coming back to their score, they won by 38, and there were 118 points scored in the game. And, of course, death equals 38, and in the Jewish cipher, which Derek renamed Latin, 118. And keep in mind, March Madness is also a big 118 event. And, again, they're going to play Gonzaga next, who also has the 118 connection and the 71 connection and the 28 connection and the 35 connection. Catholics 35, like Jesuitism is 35, like Holy See is 35. But Gonzaga's out in the 42nd state, and Calvin Sampson, the coach of Houston's trying to pick up his 42nd win tomorrow, and George Foreman was known as Big George. 42. Lost his daughter at age 42. From the day that he won the gold medal, the anniversary of that day, you know what else? Man, it was the 56th anniversary of him winning the gold medal, October 26th last year, Society of Jesus 56. But from the anniversary of him winning the gold medal to his death is 146 days later, Jesus Christ 146. And we're talking about the Society of Jesus and their rituals. And Yeah, here, I have to go to my old website. George Foreman's daughter, Frida Foreman, dead at 42 on George Foreman's 59th day of his age. If you guys have not read my book that I wrote in 2017, you still have to get on Etsy, but if you try to buy it there now, this is what happens. Sorry, this item and shop are currently unavailable. Yeah, it's because it was banned on the Ides of March back in the year 2019, even before she died. Or actually, you know what? It was banned 6 days after she died. But anyway, there's a chapter in there on how they do these rituals with 42 and 59 all the time in Black history. It's like how the month of February equals 42, and it ends, except for in leap years, on the 59th day of the year, 42-59. Slavery's 42, slave is 59. Orenthal, that's OJ's name, 42. They killed him 59 days after the last Super Bowl. And again, announced it as the masters were teeing off, in tribute to slaves, obey your masters, from Ephesians 6, verses 5 through 9. And don't forget what they did in NFL Week 6 last year. Here, in case you guys forgot this, I just want you to understand how rigged the game is. Week 6, in tribute to Ephesians 6. Let's go back down memory lane. Home teams went 4-10, like how OJ died on the date 4/10, April 10th. And the first game of the week was the 49ers getting their 666th franchise win with 36 points. 666 is the 36 triangular number. They won their 6th straight versus the Seahawks. But OJ played for the 49ers and the Bills, right? Home teams went 4-10 in this week. Again, OJ died on April 10th. His death was announced the next day, April 11th, as the Masters teed off. But look at this. Who won the last game? His Bills. And they became 4-2, like Orenthal's 42. And here, just to show you the home teams went 4-10, let's just count it up. Seahawks made it 0-1. Bears made it 1-1. Packers made it 2-1. Titans made it 2-2. Patriots made it 2-3. Saints made it 2-4. Eagles made it 3-4. Ravens made it 4-4. And notice, no other home teams won. Broncos 4-5. Raiders 4-6. Cowboys 4-7. Panthers 4-8. Giants 4-9. Jets 4-10. OJ dead on 4/10 at 76. OJ Simpson, 4/10, 76 years old. And the thing is, that date can also be written 10-4. You know, George Foreman's dead 94 days after the Pope's birthday. OJ was dead on 10-4. Just to remind you who's doing it, the church. And by the way, did I forget to mention at the beginning that the Superior General is 76 years old? Remember, a few days after he turned 76, we got the headline that Trump was the first Republican to ever get 76 million votes in the rigged selection, when Donald John Trump's 76 too. Headline. You know when that headline came out? I know where I was. It came out while I was in the hospital the day my child was born. November 16th was the day that headline came out. Our baby girl was born that day. It was like the last thing I saw right before she was born. I said, oh, breaking news, Trump, 76 million votes. Go figure. But in a way, Big George is lucky to live to 76, because a lot of these entertainers that are his skin color, man, they don't make it out of their 20s, 30s, 40s. Talk about it all the time. But then some of these greats who live longer, 76, just recurring theme. I can't even think of the Apollo Creed actor right now. I can't think of his name. Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers died at 76. And that was right after the Hootie and the Blowfish singer got shamed in the 76 ritual. You remember how he got arrested? Big 76 ritual in Black History Month. Carl Weathers dead at 76 in Black History Month, when the feds recognized Black History Month in 76. And don't forget what day they recognized it. They recognized it February 10th, which can be written 10/2, like slavery's 102. The American Civil War had a lot to do with slavery. Began on the 102nd day of the year, April 12th, 1861. When George Foreman became the heavyweight champion at 45, do you know how old his opponent was? Remember I was telling you how Trump did that ritual with the Berlin Wall on the 27th anniversary? Michael Moorer was 27 years old. George Foreman, 45. The opponent, 27. And by the way, when he look at you guys, when he became the heavyweight champion at 45, setting a record, look what day the fight was. Remember the 5th of November. This year it was the date of the election. November 5th is the day the Jesuits tried to blow up King James. Here, it's known as the Jesuit treason. The gunpowder plot of 1605, in earlier centuries often called the gunpowder treason plot or the Jesuit treason, was an unsuccessful attempted regicide against King James VI of Scotland and of blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the date of that is remember the 5th of November, 1605. He's dead while the superior general is 76 and dead 129 days after his birthday. And again, he was the oldest heavyweight champion. He did accomplish that in 94, 95, and he just happens to be dead 94 days after the Pope's birthday or on the 95th day of his age. And everything else I covered if you got here late. Not to mention he became heavyweight champion 52 years ago on 1/22 like Pope Francis. And again, he's dead during the March Madness tournament where his numbers sync up with exactly where Houston is in the tournament before they face the Jesuit school Gonzaga tomorrow. And again, I don't know where these people come from. There's just so many, again, it's crazy how many YouTubers there are that have big subs now, and you watch their videos and you're like, who the fuck is subscribing to these people? And somehow that guy has nearly 500,000 subs. Are you fucking kidding me? God. This is what they did. If you guys go watch the Event 201 simulation, this all starts to make sense because there's a segment of where they simulate the Cooties 19 where they talk about what they're going to do to social media, and they say they're going to do the flood out strategy where they just put tons of content on these platforms that bury the people who they don't want to be heard from. Yeah, maybe that's what from now on I'll just read TMZ and hold my cell phone up to the screen. See if we can fix the algorithm. All right. Anyway, I got to wrap it up. I wasn't planning on doing another video tonight, but George Foreman died. And actually, hold on. Let me check one more thing on. I didn't go through the George Foreman's daughter's death. From his birthday to his daughter's death was 59 days. And did I not put it down here? Did I not put it? Right here, you guys. Look, here's my look at. Oh my, I'm glad I went back and looked at this. All right, hold on. Let's just go through this and just talk about the damn Jesuits again. Okay, first of all, in addition to 42 being coded all over Black history, from words like Jackie to slavery to Tuskegee to the N-word to February to the list goes on, Martin. You ever seen the sitcom Martin? He lives in Detroit on the 42nd parallel in apartment 42. Malcolm X, 42, not his birth name, just like Martin wasn't Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth name, just like Muhammad Ali wasn't his birth name. 42 all over Black history. They said, again, they had to tell you that the George Foreman grill, or Big George, 42, that his grill cut away 42% of the fat. But look at this. Again, 59 days after the birthday, right? And I have it down here. And this is way before he died at 76. Oh, her birthday was the day of the Million Man March. And again, the Million Man March was on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year. God, maybe that really did foretell, and that was back in 95, the year that he gave up the heavyweight title. Maybe through his daughter, it foretold that he would die at 76. But Acts 7:6. I mean, I've always been talking about the same stuff since forever, like a broken record. That's why you would think. And I wish I could go back and see this channel, how many views this video got at the time. I bet you this video probably got 50,000 views at least. And watch, this video on George Foreman, a way bigger death, is probably going to get 2,000 views. In 2025, when the work should be out there times 100. She died 144 days after her birthday. I mean, what was the live stream earlier today? Wasn't it about the 144 in the fire at Heathrow, another Jesuit ritual? But yeah, Jesuit Order 144. And I think George Foreman had a big boxing match in 72. It was the year before he became the heavyweight champion. Okay, so he beat Frazier in 72, and then he beat him again to become the champion in 73. Okay. She died on, the news of her death came on March 9th, like George was 39. What's interesting is the coach of Houston, because again, George Foreman died in Houston. From Calvin Sampson's birthday to George Foreman's death is 167 days, which is the 39th prime number. And she died in Houston like he died in Houston. Houston, Texas is 181, the 42nd prime. Let me just go back and read this. George Foreman's daughter. Why did I do that? Why did it do that? Try that again. George Foreman's daughter, Frida, who followed in her dad's footsteps and became a professional boxer, has died, TMZ learned. Law enforcement sources tell us Frida's body was found in her home near Houston, Texas, by a family member. Cops are awaiting a report from the coroner's office on the cause of death, but we're told no foul play is suspected. If I was that guy, I'd say, see, she just died. It wasn't a murder. TMZ said so. Frida began boxing professionally as a middleweight in 2000 and won her first 5 fights before losing her 6th bout in 2001. Now George is dead 6 years later. She retired after the loss with a pro record of 5-1 with 3 KOs to focus on being a mother and other projects, including boxing promotion. Her parents also didn't enjoy her being in the ring, so George reportedly paid her to quit. Frida was born in Texas and is one of George's 5 daughters. He also has 5 sons, all named George. And Frida's middle name is George. Loves that name, George. She appeared in a couple documentaries about her dad and had a guest role on a 2003 episode of King of the Hill. How does that work, though, when you have 5 sons named George? That must get confusing. I guess you have them work as a team. When I say George, you guys all get on it together. Frida wrote on her Twitter bio, aside from my love of family, being a good mother, wife, and friend, I aspire to make a positive difference in our American criminal justice system. She's survived by her husband, 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren, her parents, and 11 siblings. Wait a minute. She must have another parent with more children? Because George had 10 children. Let me see something. Okay, maybe only that daughter's died. For some reason, I was thinking that maybe another child of his had died, but perhaps it was just her. Okay. Thanks again, John Mendoza, always with the generous dollars. Yeah, isn't it amazing how they just have done this all throughout history and nobody's blinked an eye? All right, yeah. R.I.P. George Foreman. And again, thank you everyone who hits the like and the share and helps get the word out there. If you were on Patreon tonight, we did do this decode in real time as the news broke in. We had a younger guy call in. He said, Zach, a heavyweight boxer died. I said, who? He said, I forget his name. And then when I looked it up, I was like, George Foreman? You don't know George Foreman? I was shocked. I was like, how don't you know who George Foreman is, man? George Foreman. But yet, when you're young, I get it. When you're young, it's just like, these guys were before your time. But George Foreman was a larger-than-life celebrity when I was growing up, so... Yeah, and don't forget what they did to Muhammad Ali, you guys. We called Muhammad Ali's death at age 74 years before he died, and I'll remind you why he died on June 3rd, 2016. They say the Prophet Muhammad died at 63, right? And Muslim in the desert. Muhammad Ali dies in Phoenix, Arizona. Not to mention Arizona has the 42 connection like Muhammad Ali. But 2016, the year he died, on June 3rd, 6-3, if you add 1 through 63 together, it equals 2016. And that's part of the reason they did the ritual with Trump and the Berlin Wall in 2016 also. Again, they called Trump the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Notice how Berlin Wall has the 63 also. Again, you add 1 through 63 together, it equals 2016. Trump was running on building the wall that year. And something I actually never looked into, I'm just going to do it right now real quick. I do need to get off, and God, it's already almost 9:30 out here. I need to get a good night's rest. Got to get up. Hold on. I wonder, Donald Trump, I'm sure he hosted, well, maybe not. Did Donald Trump ever host a Muhammad Ali boxing match? He hosted plenty of boxing matches at his casino. Because you know what? I did not, oh God, it's the New York Times. I know that I've never looked into Muhammad Ali's death in relation to Trump winning that selection that year, but I'm starting to wonder, maybe there is something to it. Because we know they took out Prince by the code for the chump that year. Prince had the song Black Donald Trump. Prince died 201 days before the election on the Queen's birthday. When Trump came out to Queen, we are the champions. All the purple. What day was this fight? Trump, or not Trump, Ali, Joe Frazier, 1971 fight. Fight of the century. It was on March 8th, 3-8, elections 38-83. The election was November 8th in 2016. It was called on November 9th, in the early hours of November 9th, if you recall. He would have died. He died 11 days before Trump's birthday, too, because Trump's got that June 14th birthday. Whoops, what did I just do? He died 158 days. Look at that. Man, oh man. So Freemasonry is 158, but the election was called for Trump on November 9th, 159 days. Oh, you know that one, right? Donald Trump equals 159. I'm going to go back and look more into Trump and Muhammad Ali. Because there were a lot of sacrifices, for this election too, including his ex-wife 45 years after their marriage, exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Nation year, on the day that Trump said he would run in the 60th election. And then they buried her on the 201st day of the year. Just kind of like how Muhammad Ali has that 201 in his not birth name. But yeah, it is something. It dawned on me that I never explored the angle of Trump and Muhammad Ali. And the Jesuit-run New York Times had to do this article the day after he died. His interest in fighting began. This is posted on 26/6 in the time of the. Oh God, this is an old article. This is from '88. This is the same year that Trump did the interview with Oprah about running for president someday. Trump is baiting Democrats like Muhammad Ali did. Look at this article. It's from the 201st day of the year. Isn't it sick, man? Isn't it sick? We got all these people out here. They're like, you're just cherry picking things. You picked that article because you saw it was the 201st day of the year. It's like, yeah, I wrote the article. And don't forget all the 159 stuff this year with the chump. You know, supposedly the assassination hoax on 15/9, and he was saved by the Secret Service that was established 159 years earlier on the same day that Lincoln was shot in a theater. All right. Red Fox is another 42. Yeah. Yeah. It's coated all over, man. All over. Okay. So, yeah, again, RIP to George Foreman. Another major sports event in the world and another major celebrity death. So, and again, in Houston, and one of the biggest games tomorrow is the Houston Gonzaga game. All right, guys, have a good night. Until next time.